That's it. We just want to win for our team.
My goodness!
Yeah, we're just as good as men. We're better.
It's a huge point for the Bay Area.
Good chance that's the #1 highlight of the week.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to MLTT Major League Table Tennis. This is day number 3 of week number 8, coming to you live from Davie, Florida at Broward Table Tennis Club. I got my workout on with some table tennis this morning, and I'm excited to see the pros in action. So let's start with our officials. Coming in first, a big round of applause for June Amon and Bill Engelbrecht. And the first team to come in is first place in the league by a lot. They are rushing ahead, they are tough to beat, and you'll have a chance to witness their strength here today. Put your hands together for Carolina Gold Rush! And their opponents coming in all the way from the Northeast. They've climbed up in rankings and they've got their work cut out for them today. The thrills come aplenty. Put your hands together for Princeton Revolution! And now that all the warriors are here, let's shake some hands and slap some skins and let the games begin.
A very pleasant good morning to you and yours, wherever you may be, as we welcome you to Sunday morning competition at Major League Table Tennis. And when the weekend began, perhaps we didn't think Princeton, Carolina would be the match to watch this weekend. But as we sit right now, the Carolina Gold Rush have won 10 of their last 11 team matches. They've been first place all year long. The Princeton Revolution are the story. They started 1-6. They have won 7 of their last 8. They are 2-0 this weekend. And we will see if Princeton can keep it rolling and challenge Florida for the 2 spot. They begin the day just 4 points behind of the Crocs. Welcome, everybody. I'm Evan Lepler. This is Matt Hetherington. And we've seen plenty of exciting action so far this weekend. And it really starting to feel meaningful. I mean, every point matters in the pursuit of the playoffs. What does Princeton need to do today against the juggernaut that is Carolina?
Honestly, I feel like their preparation has been really good throughout the weeks of Major League Table Tennis. I think Coach Matthias Harbison has done a really good job of bringing the team together. They don't necessarily have their A-team here, but they have brought it to the table this weekend. And, I mean, this is their big opportunity. If they're going to get ahead of the Crocs, today's the day.
Well, they haven't had the A-team. I think that's pretty clear. They're missing Jinxing Wang and Koyo Kanemitsu, and yet they're 2-0 this weekend. They have wins over Chicago and Florida, and this is the lineup today. Jishan against Enzo to get it started. What else catches your eye as you look at the lineup for the Revolution and the Gold Rush here?
I think the doubles is something that's going to be pretty pivotal. The Carolinas have always kind of locked in the doubles and capitalized off doubles wins. And they've been a hard team to get ahead of in these individual matches. I think there have been very few occasions where we've seen Carolina trailing going into the golden game.
Enzo Angles is always a key player. He's the #1 player in the league, and he has been dominant this weekend and all season. Could Yevgen Prishepa be the X factor for the Revolution? He's got 6 points up for grabs, both playing doubles. alongside Angela Guan, and then the final singles match against Romain Lorentz.
I think so. I mean, he's performed. I feel like he's really raised the bar this weekend. He's been the player that's really filled the boots of Koyo and Wang Chen, and has, I mean, if you look at the number of points that he's brought home for the team, again, performing well in the doubles and in the singles spot. You know, golden game first day, those 4 points that he won all in a row really changed things for the Revolution. So you could almost see Pepa as the linchpin of the Revolution team.
Well, certainly it would give Princeton a boost if Jishan could take a point or two from Enzo Angles. We'll shift our attention to this first singles match. Jishan and Enzo have played twice before this season. In October, Enzo jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Jishan did manage to salvage the third game, so a 2-1 win for Angles. In the rematch in November, Enzo with a 3-0 sweep. That included one 11-10 win, but the other two games were lopsided, 11-3 and 11-5. So Enzo 5-1 in games against Jishan. But I've liked Jishan's form this weekend, and Enzo tweaked something in his leg yesterday, maybe not quite 100%, not to say he hasn't played great, because he has. But, I mean, what are the keys for Jishan as we get this rolling?
I mean, he's played with really great power off both wings. Enzo's a tricky player. Enzo's a player you've got to try and back off the table and get him out wide on the forehand. That can be tough for a left-hander, because usually you're playing more angles on the backhand diagonal in a lot of the rallies.
1-0 lead for Jishan, serving first.
I think the development of the reverse pendulum serve for Jishan is going to factor into this a lot if he uses it.
How comfortable has he looked to you with that new serve of his?
There have been a couple of, I'd say, shaky moments with it, but I think pretty good. In terms of setting up forehand, it's performed pretty well for him. You know, left-hander to left-hander, serving short reverse to the forehand can work really well. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries it.
Three straight for Angles. The Frenchman who has just been a buzzsaw. Enzo 5-1 in singles this weekend. He's 35-10 in singles games this year. It's over the course of 9 singles matches.
So his average is
beg your pardon,
better than
15 singles matches, excuse me.
Yeah, so his average is better than 2-1.
Yes. He's lost 2-1 a couple times. He's never been swept.
One of the important things for Enzo is to keep Jishan off balance, keep his feet on the move, and his body weight shifting. And also the speed. It's a big difference between Jishan on the back foot on the defensive than there is when he's on the attack. I think Jishan's another player that's really stepped up for the Revolution this weekend as well, in terms of performance.
Has he surprised you? Or
I
just fulfilled your expectations?
I wouldn't say surprised.
Ed Hogshead, the head official for MLTT, barking some directions toward Angles. That's unusual. Did that catch the edge? It did.
That bounced up. think he was commenting with Enzo about not deciding, oh, I don't want this ball, and just checking it and then chucking it out the playing area. I think.
Yeah, I've heard Ed talk about that. And sometimes a player doesn't like the feel of a particular ball, but the teams agree on all the balls that they play on. They're allowed to check them before the match. Once the match is started, unless there's a actual dent or something in the ball, they need to show it to the official.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have to play with a ball that's in hand. Enzo's not a guy that's going to be flustered by someone yelling to him in the middle of the game.
Certainly not. Right now he leads 9-5 in the first game. That slow spin.
There's just an ease and a variability to his tactics. He can go for the quick attack. He can play the ball from under the table. Variety of ball tosses on his serve can be disorienting to his opponent from a timing standpoint.
Yeah, lots of variation from French left-hander.
6-10.
Game point calling.
Jishan
And Jishan hangs it up.
fights off one of them. So 11-7 game one. Enzo Anglaise. I think one of the things that stands out, if you watch Jishan play against a player who he feels confident that he can win against, he's blasting forehands like crazy. You see like point in, point out, forehand winners. But there's just a step up in level here. Someone like Enzo is not going to let him play like that. So you kind of see what's left. After you take the power out of the game, I don't think Jishan can match Enzo in these points. He's got to be able to play those big shots. Yeah, so look at that whip around the net from Enzo onto the edge. Lots of different serve receives. Enzo keeping Jishan guessing. Never really quite in position. What does Enzo do? How does Enzo take away Jishan's greatest strength?
I think the way that he plays is very unpredictable. He's always changing things, especially the serve receive. Sometimes he's playing slow, sometimes he's playing quick over the table. Just mixing things up, keeping Jishan guessing. But most importantly, keeping him out of position. There's a lot of changes in not just spin and speed, but also the depth of the ball as well. Yeah, and you can see also Enzo, he tends to play those first opening loops a little bit slow, but they dip quite low. Really hard to pick up with a big counter like Jishan's. Enzo looking for the backhand flick. Jishan seems to have stuck to the more conservative short backspin serves. No pendulum, reverse pendulums yet.
That's a nice play. Curious to ask, an accomplished player like Jishan, does he still have the mindset that he can come back and win 2 games, or is he kind of thinking, just get 1 point for my team here?
Oh no, he'll 100% believe he can win 2 from here. You see Jishan getting pushed back even off those softer shots. He's got to keep the pressure on with his backhand. Enzo doing a good job of playing slow sometimes. It's one thing some people don't realize, is that playing slow is actually sometimes a good tactic in table tennis. It's not just all about hitting fast and hard all the time. Anglaise with the angles.
As you would expect. Too good.
So, in typical fashion for 2 left-handers, we've seen the majority of points start across the backhand diagonal.
Just like yesterday, an early timeout from Matthias Habasson. Jishan Liang against the table now. Worked out pretty well in the match yesterday. Jishan battled back against Mark Duran.
Oh, step up. Or cross to the middle.
Good question. There's an old superstition that started in Egypt. The god of the table, when you touched it, no, I'm just kidding.
Relax. You
You're
can go
only
if you
allowed
serve
to
this
towel
husband, you
break
just go
every
to the
6
flick, it's
points.
okay. And then the
So
second
in
ball, you wait for the
between,
ball and you
players
go.
will cleverly dry their hands in a place
can
where
do
they think the ball is
You're not forced
unlikely
to always
bounce.
put short shot. You
Usually
can play
near
again,
the
tuck,
net,
tuck, you can play on the
sometimes
table.
the side of the
No
table.
problem.
But it's become almost
Okay,
a habit.
and really,
So you'll
when
see
you
it
make
quite a
points,
lot,
you
but it's
just
to make sure
scream,
they
you run.
keep good
You
grip
must
on
get
the
in motion.
racket.
When you're in motion, when
They're
you're like
constantly
flexible, you're
changing,
very
not just
good.
between
Okay?
forehand and
Like this.
backhand. The grip actually changes.
No,
But on the serve, if you watch them loosen up their
Like he's
fingers,
serving now. You want
and then
for
they'll
half long.
re-grip and grab and
Service
change
after
for any
half long, you go
specific
for the
shot.
ball.
You can
Short,
also
you
watch
go for the
Enzo
flick.
Anglaise
That's
spinning
it.
the ball on his fingernails sometimes. Not so easy to do for most mere mortals, but for him it's simply calming.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, just move it like this. Move it. Come on.
Certainly not a lot of positive energy emanating from Jishan right now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the main reason that Habasson called the timeout now.
Only 1 timeout left before the Golden Game for the Revolution. This timeout will be more than worth it if Jishan could win a couple points on Enzo's serve, get back in this game. Anglaise, as usual, has the answer.
I think Matthias in this situation is really just trying to get Jishan to relax and put less pressure on himself. You could hear him saying, hey, you don't always have to keep everything really tight, just loosen up, play your game. He's got to go for those shots. Sometimes it's better to take that shot and miss it than it is to play what you might consider the wrong shot. Enzo Anglaise getting away here after the timeout.
Wow. Jishan was on the back of his heels. Enzo gave him a favor, sending it in the net. Wow. Anglaise can do it in prime time. He can also wake up early and come out smacking the edge. That's too good. #1 in the league for many, many reasons. Enzo Angles has 2 quick points for Carolina today.
He's just got such good balance in his game of when to play the control spin and when to go for those more powerful, snappier attacks. Look at the angles that he's playing. Getting Jishan way out wide on the forehand when you're playing left-hander against left-hander is really important strategy. Once you get out of that backhand lock, it's all about creating wide angles to the forehand, and Enzo does such a good job. You can see those hooking forehands that carry the ball out wider. I mean, even if Jishan gets his racket on them, he's going to leave more than half of the table open on his backhand side.
It's just such a weapon for the Gold Rush to continually put Enzo in this first singles spot. Sets the tone for the team. It's got to make everybody else feel comfortable. They almost always take the table with a team lead.
Yeah, I mean, Enzo really, he's been not just a leader in the league, but in his own team, as you said. I mean, being able to win the majority of points in singles and doubles, and then be relatively reliable in the Golden Game. I mean, it was really interesting to me. Enzo, after they talked about the loss on the first day, Enzo said,
He took responsibility.
Yeah, he was like, we all have our part to play in the loss, but I came out first and I lost 4 points. He was like, maybe it's my fault because he didn't set the message for the rest of the team from the beginning. And that's kind of been the role he's adopted, I guess.
His Golden Game numbers for the whole season are still among the best in the league. 35 and 10 coming into this match in singles. He's now 37 and 10. And in doubles, he's 36 and 9.
2-1.
Young takes the big swing, doesn't find the table. I think he found the pipe and drape at the back with that one. And that was pretty good looking from where I'm sitting. You can see Enzo really eager to get around on the forehand straight away.
Just because you know I like numbers, Matt. You combine his singles record and his doubles record, if I've done my math right, 73 and 19. Not too shabby.
I feel like it would be pretty hard for any other player in the league to catch that before the season ends.
When Jishan got a point off Enzo, it was in this situation. He was down 2 games to none, and he figured out a way to bring the energy in game 3 to salvage a point.
He definitely looks more assertive on the serve receive. He's going for more backhand flicks instead of pushing. Trying to put the pressure on early in the point. And that's a better strategy for him too. He's moved away from trying to play short, trying to push the ball long, playing topspin instead. And the players will switch ends. He will lead 5-3.
Alex Chen, Jeremy Hazen, second singles showdown coming up. This hit from Liang, and Enzo's back within 1.
Enzo doesn't know how he escaped that one. And finally seeing Jishan using the reverse pendulum serve. He knows he has to do something different. Don't know if I mean, serving reverse to the backhand against the lefties, maybe not necessarily the best placement, but
Angles responds with an ace.
Looks like Jishan thought that bounce was a little bit, did look like it dipped pretty quickly. And Angles levels things up. It's hard to believe somebody who plays such an aggressive forehand game like Enzo had a dislocated shoulder just 3 to 4 weeks ago.
It's been a tumultuous last month. He dislocated his shoulder, he lost his shoes. And yet he keeps on winning.
Well, the good news for the Carolinas is that his leg seems to be fine today. Yeah, this, honestly, like left hand against left hand, reverse pendulum short to the forehand is a good strategy to start you off in a point.
Why?
It's just a very awkward ball to receive. And the most comfortable way to receive a reverse pendulum short to the forehand is to flick the ball cross court. And if you're also left-handed, that goes right into the middle of your forehand.
Just to clarify for our viewers, a pendulum serve is when you go away from your body toward your body, and a reverse pendulum is the opposite, when you kind of go across your body back to your outside.
Yeah, so this is a reverse. Yeah, and see, to the backhand, lefty-lefty, reverse pendulum to the backhand is a pretty easy ball to come in and flick. Because of the spin direction, Enzo looks pretty comfortable with that. I mean, they expect to play cross-court backhand already.
Jishan Liang has created a game point here in game 3.
Enzo out there chopping. I can tell you that's one strategy that won't work well against Jishan. I've seen him play some pretty good high-level choppers before and just chew them to bits with his forehand.
2 serves for Angles. He needs them both. Jishan gets a point for Princeton with an 11-8 win in game 3 over Angles.
So Jishan Liang does claw back one game. Just clipped that edge there, but got the job done.
That was an interesting match. That's 2 times this season that Jishan has lost the first 2 games. All 3 times he's played Enzo, he's lost the first 2 games. 2 out of 3, though, he's able to take game 3.
Looks like Enzo's getting caught up in a discussion with tournament referee there, Ed Hogshead, probably about the ball.
Joined now by Enzo Angles. Enzo, congrats on getting another 2 points for your team. Let's talk about the match first. Jishan, you're very familiar with him. You played him a few times this year. What were the tactics that went into your success today?
Like usually, just play, put intensity, try to find my forehand, and yeah, keep moving.
The legs feeling good after yesterday?
Yeah, all good.
No problem.
And what kind of things change in your tactics when you're playing against other left-handers? You generally seem pretty comfortable out there.
The thing is, I really don't like, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't like because my backhand is not as efficient as against right, you know. And so yeah, but it's okay. I don't like, but the how it looks, it's not as I feel, you know.
Are you interested or willing to share what's going through your mind in regard to the ball and the conversation with Ed over there?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Don't need to talk about it. It's just nothing.
All good. Thanks for the time, Enzo. We'll see you in a bit. I didn't expect him to answer, but I wanted to give him a chance in case he wanted to get something off his chest.
All business.
But I appreciate his focus on the game and not wanting to let the periphery distract from the task at hand. And that's the sign of a great athlete, you know, a guy that can, because he certainly has thoughts that he could share, but by choosing not, I respect his choice to not share them, because that's what a lot of great athletes would do. They compartmentalize from all the different aspects of things that are in their life.
Well, one thing that I like about Enzo, and we've seen this a couple of times this weekend, is that at the end of a match, he does go and kind of get clarification on things and resolve things. We saw yesterday he was a little bit frustrated with Matilda Ekholm kind of chowing on a netball. And at the end of it, he, you know, a few friendly words with Gorak, and he was all smiles when they walked off the court. And it's the same here with Ed. Kind of walk over and have a discussion, and it's done and dusted with, and on to the next one.
I think he's moving on, yes, but he gave a little shake of his head, and I think he thinks he should be able to get a new ball if he wants.
It's normal, maybe in other leagues, but
you know,
rules are rules.
Tennis players get tossed 3-4 balls before they're getting ready to serve. They pick the one they want to use.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of, they do select a lot of balls. I mean, there's about, I'd say there's like 20 in the box, so. I think the part about it that surprises me is that we've seen other players doing it. Like Damien Provost has been one player that's kind of been like, no, I don't want this ball, and kind of chucked it away. But this is the first time that it's been addressed during a match.
Yeah, what made it different was it wasn't one of the umpires, but it was the tournament official, MLTT logistics coordinator and head referee Ed Hogshead, you know, from kind of the staff section, clarifying something in the middle of a game. All right, let's shift our focus. Jeremy Hazen's off to a fantastic start against Alexander Chen. Different styles for these two.
Yes, and Alex typically winds up and plays pretty short points. It's a lot of serve and big forehand follow-ups.
Can Jeremy hang on to the table against Alex?
He can hang on to the table with the best of them, yeah. I mean, he stays really close. He's got excellent control. It's really hard to hit through him.
The Great Wall of Canada.
Yeah. He's so consistent on his backhand blocks, and then really good at picking the ball up on the forehand kind of early in the bounce. So he plays in a very deflective way. The more you throw at him, the more he can send back. So for Alex Chen, it's about trying to find those wider angles.
Few players wear their emotions on their sleeve point to point, like Jeremy Hazen. Said it yesterday, though. He does a nice job moving on after the reaction, but there's almost always a reaction.
Yeah, some winning facial expressions.
Surprising. Yeah, surprising that he couldn't finish off that third ball attack. Felt like it was sitting up nicely for him. The last 4 points all have been won by the returner. Chen missing a golden opportunity there to get back in this game. Down 6-2. Had the ball on his paddle at 6-4. Now Hazen gets it back with a chance to really break it open.
And Chen gets the wide angle. Jeremy does really well in that, kind of on the inside of the table. so inside the corners of the table, but if you break the ball wider, doesn't have as much reach, plays pretty close to the body to keep the ball under control.
Snaps a streak of 5 straight points that were won by the returner. Hazen leads 9-5.
Chen sends the ball long on the serve.
Yeah, this is the type of match that Princeton really needs Alexander Chen to step up. When you look at the doubles match, certainly favor the Carolina duo. Jong was clutch yesterday, a 3-0 win. That included 2 golden point wins against Michel Levinsky. Lebaka has punched above his weight class, but he's still an 18-year-old free agent signee. And a lot of pressure on Pepa's shoulders. Chen back within 2.
It's going to be a tough ask for him to run off 5 points in a row, but he's got the first 2. Still needs 3 more in a row if he wants to take this first game.
Does Alex Yang call a timeout if Alex Chen wins this next point?
No. I don't think so. We're not going to find out.
Game 1 to Hazen. 11-8.
Hazen is just a solid player at neutralizing the attack of his opponents. Just a very steady table tennis player. I think Alex Chen, I mean, if he's not able to win the point off his third ball attack, if he can't serve and, if he serves and misses that first forehand, or if he hits the forehand and then Jeremy's able to get a racket on it, I think his odds of being able to get the upper hand in the match go down pretty significantly. He's a player that needs to hit home the third ball attack in order to have the advantage in the match. That certainly puts a lot of pressure on him to be the aggressive player. Right now, Princeton Revolution are feeling the early pressure against the Carolina Gold Rush.
So far, so good. Here we go. It's time for game number 2.
See if Chen can make some adjustments here. Well, Enzo's like, where's Ed now?
And Chen getting off to a great start in the second. This time capitalizing off his 2 serves. Fantasy League still running. Evan looking pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, my perspective and outlook changed when you told me that you were happy for me that I was in the top 10 this weekend.
Genuinely am.
I don't know if Sean O'Neill feels the same way.
He probably doesn't. I always love to see it. I mean, I've done commentary with other people before who have come from outside the sport, and I love to see people take a deep dive. And so for me, having you in on the Fantasy League, as well as all the stuff that you're learning about the game on the table, and I can tell you guys at home now, this man does a tremendous amount of work getting statistics, which he's even smiling now that I say that. I think it's great. I'm very happy to see you in the top 10. I would like to be higher on the rankings myself. Maybe I'll try again next week.
Unfortunately, there's not an event next week, but 3 weeks from now in Portland, I'm sure you'll do a deep dive into the West Division race.
Well, I'm sure if Sean doesn't do well in the Fantasy League on home turf, we'll definitely have something to say.
Eventually, he's just going to,
implode,
resign to the fact that it's not for him. I mean, he's a great player, an Olympian, Hall of Famer. It's okay to if you're not great at everything. And Sean, you know, despite his desire to be excellent, he's certainly a competitive dude, but so far the fantasy has just been his bugaboo.
I guess that's what happens when analytical color goes up against cold hard stats against the play-by-play. There are no emotional decisions with Evan. It's just looking at pure results.
Can I tell you about the most interesting realization I've had in the last 12 hours from a statistical standpoint?
Yeah.
It has to do with the Golden Game and the significance of the 1-0 lead versus the 3-0 lead versus the 5-0 lead. And what we've seen so far in 56 Golden Games, the numbers will surprise you. Teams with a 5-0 lead entering the Golden Game are dominant. They're 17-2. That's almost a 90% victory rate. That's not that surprising. But what is surprising is the fact that teams with a 1-0 lead entering the Golden Game are 16-6. They have won 73% of the time. However, teams with a 3-0 lead entering the Golden Game are 8-7, which is to say that the 3-0 lead has been marginally unimportant. And part of that could be that the losing team has to pick the first player. But that's just for 1 point. And it's almost better to be reactive in your picks than proactive.
Yeah.
You could argue that.
That's actually a good point. It's a really good point.
But with just that 1 point, you get to be reactive in matching up whoever you want in the 2 spot for 4 of the first 5 points, and that can erase the 3-0 lead pretty quick. I mean, these are just some thoughts that I've had while putting these numbers together, but that really surprised me.
Oh, good thoughts.
What do you think?
Well, honestly, in terms of Evan's stats, that's been the one that's kind of resonated with me at least a little bit.
I'm flattered and offended simultaneously.
Mission accomplished.
7 all.
And
I mean, just because instinctively you'd think, oh, it's better to have a 3-0 lead than a 1-0 lead going into the Golden Game. But the numbers so far are very different.
Jeremy Hazen has come back here in the second game, and he now leads 8-7. He's been a little more aggressive, using the forehand attack a little bit more. And look, just putting the pressure on the backhand.
Now, it's still a relatively small sample size. The last 3 comebacks from teams behind to win the Golden Game have all been when they were down 3-0. After a 9-6 team tally at the end of regulation. So you have a lead going into the Golden Game. You got about a 73% chance of winning. But if it's a 3-0 lead, it's basically been a 50-50 toss-up. You know, through 15 times we've seen that happen. I don't think this is going to cause teams to intentionally throw their last game so they're up 8-7 instead of 9-6. But it is something to keep in mind.
Hazen closes out the second game, coming back from behind. It's going to be frustrating for Alex Chen, but it's just been a solid performance from Jeremy against the first attacking or aggressive shots from Alex Chen. I think in terms of style matchup, Hazen is the player that's remained in control. A lot of pressure coming back on Alex Chen. Take a look at some of these points here. You can see Alex is really pushing himself to go for broke. If he plays soft, it hasn't worked well for him against Jeremy.
You know, Princeton fans are not going to appreciate this reminder, but Jeremy Hazen was a key member of Carolina's comeback, one of the 2 comebacks from 5 points down at the start of a Golden game back in October when Princeton had a 10-5 lead. Hazen was swept 3 straight games in singles by Koyo Kanemitsu, but in the Golden game, Hazen won some clutch points, and Carolina took that Golden game 21-19 to win that match 11-10. We're going to look back at the end of the season, Matt, and be able to pinpoint like 5 specific points from the season that were just absolutely monumental in terms of, you know, 16 points won in some of these ultimate golden points. You know, Florida won the first ever ultimate golden point against Chicago back in October. If that point goes the other way, Florida's not in the second place spot right now.
Chen misses another serve. I think the Princeton Revolution team, in terms of body language, is seeming almost a little bit wiped today. Hazen looks pretty frustrated there on the serve return.
It's been a tough start. Doesn't mean they can't turn it around.
I think, again, on the majority of occasions, the players that have been frustrated with Alex Chen's serves have been the left-handers. That viewpoint from down the line is a little bit harder to see than cross.
Saw a quick look at Matthew de Saint-Alain on the bench. He is inactive today, which is a little bit of an interesting choice. You know, it was really either Jishan, de Saint-Alain, or Pepa. They had to sit one of those 3, and Habasan choosing to keep Pepa and Jishan in the lineup, which makes sense. Pepa playing doubles.
Yeah, I think that's a good decision. You need, I think, you need either Jishan or Pepa in the doubles. So that kind of guarantees that one of them has to be in. And I think if you look at the singles, having Jishan in is a pretty logical choice, but Pepa's played amazing across this weekend. He's been a reliable player. And yeah, we of course also don't know how de Saint-Alain's feeling today. He's been through a few ups and downs this weekend, but has managed to play pretty outstandingly, all things considered.
Hazen's going to be a table tennis tournament director one day.
Remind me to skip that tournament. It did seem like Coach Yang on the bench was instructing Jeremy to add some more kick to his serve. And Alex Chen puts that ball away. Hazen can only nod and acknowledge a great shot. Again, Chen just putting too much pressure on himself to play these big shots. Sometimes you have to be willing to put in the work for a long rally with Jeremy. It's not necessarily the favorable style of Alex Chen. He wants to play power and stay forward.
Alex was inactive yesterday, but he looked good against Ojo Onalapo on Friday night, taking 2 out of 3 from the Nigerian. Off the paddle into the ceiling.
Again, Chen taking his shots. Leads 9-6. Big chance here to get a point on the board for the Revolution.
If these two square off again in the golden game, this match has laid the foundation for intriguing 4-point snippets down the road. It's not like either player has dominated the other here. I feel like these guys could play 9 games and it'd probably be 5-4.
Yeah, I think the difficulty that Alex is having is either playing too hard or playing too soft. The middle ground for him has been kind of route with errors.
Yeah. He's still searching for answers. And all of a sudden, Hazen's back level, 9-all. What I thought was going to be a 2-1 win could very well become a 3-0 sweep for Carolina.
And a great, well-disguised no-spin serve there from Chen. Sets himself up with the first game point here. Does it again, but big swing. Had a chance to finish things off. Going into the golden point now, Hazen holds the serve.
First golden point of the day. What will Hazen do on the serve? Hazen completes the sweep, coming from behind with a 3-0 run to close out the 11-10 win.
Very tactful performance from Jeremy Hazen. Patient, lots of great placement. I think throughout this entire match, Alex Chen just out of his comfort zone. Kind of similar things that we saw between Enzo and Jishan as well. The Carolinas players tactically on top of things so far in this team tie.
Hazen, who wears his emotions on his sleeve all game long, a big smile on his face as he puts the headset on. Jeremy, congrats on 11-8, 11-8, 11-10. What's going through your mind in that third game as Alex gets off to a good start? How'd you turn it around and pull it out?
Yeah, I think the key to the third game, especially with this format, especially winning the first 2 sets. After I won the second set, I was very happy. I celebrated, but I realized that this whole league is based on every set. So the third set, I tried to tell myself to focus as much as possible, because normally most players who have a 2-0 lead here have trouble trying to focus in the third game. And I did struggle with that, which is why my coach called a timeout. But I don't know how, somehow I found a way to, I adjusted my serve a little bit. I did more heavy topspin. And that's why I was able to take the 11-10 narrow win in the third set.
Well, Jeremy, I think you've certainly earned the cruise that you're going to go on after this.
Yeah, like, the ship leaves at 4. Final boarding is 3 o'clock. So around 1:45, I have a Uber directly to the port of Miami. So I'm going to barely make the final boarding for today.
Where are you headed?
Dominican, Puerto Rico, and St. Martin. Just a 1 week. Yeah.
Sounds wonderful. We'll let you go. Get ready for the golden game.
Yes.
Have a great cruise if I don't see you before you leave.
Thank you.
Jeremy Hazen with a 3-0 sweep against Alexander Chen. So it's a 5-1 lead for Carolina. And you look at the rankings here, and you certainly make the Gold Rush a favorite.
Yeah, the Revolution are not in a great position here. I think they were probably hoping for at least Alex Chen to perform a little stronger. But again, like I feel like the team hasn't looked comfortable out there so far in terms of the energy. You see Matthias Harbison in the timeouts trying to get his players pumped up, but you know, they've looked very uncomfortable, especially when you have big hitters. You have Jishan who's swinging big forehands, Alex Chen who's swinging big forehands. In order for them to play well, they have to be pumped up and in the zone. And I feel like the team's been a little bit flat coming into these first 2 singles, and the Carolinas look really focused.
Angela Guan will serve first here in the doubles.
Guan's going to be playing the defense against Hong Lin.
This is the 15th time in 16 team matches that Enzo and Hong have played doubles together. But it's just the second time that they're facing off with Pepa and Guan. It's 3 different doubles duos from Princeton that Angles and Lin have tangled with. But November in Chicago, Enzo and Hong defeated Pepa and Guan 2-1. Pepa and Guan winning the golden point in game 3 to avoid being swept.
It looks like Princeton have always managed to get 1 game out of the 3 in their different combinations against the Carolinas. Angela and DeSantalan took the 3rd game in the first week, and then in the 3rd week, Angela and Jishan won the middle game.
Yep. But you've said several times you think Pepa and Guan are the best doubles option for the Revolution.
Yeah, I think so. I think Pepa is just well balanced to play with the defender. He knows how to work his way around Angela in terms of the footwork, in terms of the strategy. He's very calm and collected. With DeSantalan, you know, putting 2 defenders together in doubles is something that can be really challenging. And then Jishan and Angela are, I guess, like kind of polar opposites in the way that they play. So for me, Pepa just meets in the middle ground, well balanced between both. Great setup, great execution.
Wow.
Pepa's on fire. I mean, Pepa's been on fire in the doubles this weekend.
And pretty good in the singles, too. Hong Lin, capable of seizing control when the opportunity meets the moment. And one thing about Angles and Lin is they've definitely gotten better together as the season has gone along. I mean, you just look at it. They played great. They went 11-4 in their first 2 weekends together. But in their second 2 weekends, they went 18-3.
Right now, they're clawing their way back in the first.
4 straight for the Gold Rush after falling behind 7-1.
One of the more aggressive shots we've seen from Angela Guan. Great to see. Got to take those opportunities when they're there. I think how Enzo plays into Angela is a pretty pivotal part of this rotation. Pepa really doing his bit to keep the pressure on Enzo.
Game points for Princeton. Yeah, our score line is a point off. It's 10-6 right now. That came back to the table, but it hit a beam overhead. Once it hits the beam, the point is dead. 10-7. This is not like a basement where you have the house rule. You hit it intentionally off the ceiling, back onto the table for the winner. That's one of my special shots. Matt Hetherington, you should feel fortunate you've never had to face my off-the-ceiling shot.
I genuinely have no response to that at all.
11-7 for Pepa and Guan. What's your response to that?
Again, great balance from the Princeton Revolution pair. This, for me, is the pair that they should try and stick with more often. I know there are different implications about the order, and Matthias Harbison always has some kind of strategies that he doesn't want to discuss on the live stream, especially when we ask about the doubles combinations. But Pepa and Guan, for me, are the winning pair. I think when they get into the topspin exchanges, Pepa's ability to read the pace and the timing of the ball has been a huge factor this weekend. He has had some of the smoothest looking counters in the topspin exchanges that I've seen in the doubles so far this weekend, or actually throughout the entire season of the league.
I have another serious question for you, Matt. Do you think you could beat me if you had a blindfold on?
No. We're not going to try it. A blindfold? No.
I've seen someone play table tennis with a blindfold successfully. His name's Rafa Nadal.
Whatever.
A guy that you said you would never lose to.
Yeah. I don't give a shit whether he's wearing a blindfold or not.
Apologies to the kids out there.
Sorry. It's going to be trouble if I see another Rafael Nadal video.
It's a family show, Matt.
No more Rafael Nadal videos.
How do you feel about Federer?
In general? Or at table tennis?
Well, if you saw a Federer video, would you get this angry?
I don't know. Probably not. I wouldn't lose to him either.
I appreciate your confidence and your conviction, as that is the thing that separates high-level athletes, is their belief. And look, as a broadcaster, as a commentator, I enjoy the opportunity to analyze and debate and dissect and rank and figure out who's better than who and how the adjustments can be made. But at the same time, I appreciate the fact that, for example, the 25th best player in the world truly believes that they can be the best player in the world and beat the best player in the world on any given day, and that's what makes sports great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything you're seeing here from Angles and Lin that stands out to you as unusual, other than the scoreline?
No, I mean, I think they're playing okay, but really, Pepa and Guan have really stepped things up here. Things are mixed up a lot. It's not that common to see long, fast serves in table tennis and doubles, because you have to serve diagonal.
What a return by Pepa. Without a doubt, one of the shots of the weekend there.
I would say Pepa, as compared to the rest of the field, has been one of the top players of the weekend.
You can see all the updated MLTT power rankings, usually updated pretty quickly after the weekend concludes on MLTT.com.
Pepa has just stayed on top of the topspin rallies. Really great balance. Angela Guan's defending really well from the mid-court. Ongles and Lin driving the Princeton Revolution pair back from the table.
Yeah, they're going to win most of those points when they get those balls popped up like that. Carolina back within 2. Enzo has 2 serves on his paddle.
This is a big effort from the Revolution.
Sure is. They needed it.
If they can close out this doubles match, definitely help the team scoreline a lot.
So it's 8-6. The serve's coming back to Pepa. Big swing from Ongles off the chop from Guan.
Yeah, Ongles is putting a bit more pressure on himself to be more aggressive against Pepa.
Guan coming with the attack, and is Pepa fired up for his teammate.
No better time for it either. Guan's done really well covering the counterattacks on the forehand. Did really well with the doubles against the Crocs, against Matilda Ekholm. Ongles gets the ball up over the net. Pepa was certainly ready for it. And Ongles levels things up. He's been hitting some pretty wide angles against Pepa. It's made all the difference for him. See how this second game ends.
Game point here. And Ongles and Lin come from behind to take game 2.
This was big. Enzo Ongles and a home win for Young 7-9.
That was a very gritty back and forth game. Enzo and Hong Lin bringing the goods. I think Enzo really stepped up the aggression. He was trying to go for the wider angles against Pepa, painting those edge lines in the corners.
Is that order where Enzo gets to respond to the Guan chops much better for Carolina?
I think so. It can be harder to loop really well against chop when you have short pips rubber. It can be easier to get the spin off, but oftentimes harder to loop strong. I think Enzo definitely is able to power through the ball a lot better, and you can see he adds those angles as well on the forehand.
What would you say to a young player, casual player that maybe wants to become more serious and they've only played with flat rubber and they want to experiment with pips?
I think it's best to take advice from someone who's coaching. It's good for them to look at your style. Usually you would either choose pips because of a style that you want to pursue, so something that works to your strengths, or you would use pips to cover a weakness. So, you know, some players who have weaker backhand topspin shots will switch to pips, but generally the flatter hitting styles, so if you look at Hong and you look at Nishant Lebaka, the players that really drive through the ball, the short pips rubber is a little better suited to those players. And then the long pips that Angela has are generally better for defending.
Many times this season we have seen Angles and Lin fall behind in a game, but still win the race to 11, fall behind 1 game to none, and still take 2 out of 3. Amusing reaction there from Angles after the miss hit. Get back-to-back errors off Angles' paddle too often, as we haven't seen him in this league.
Pepa going on the attack. He's always in a good balanced position at the mid-distance to come in, where a lot of the time we see when Angela plays with Jishan, he hangs back for those big shots. Pepa moves around his defensive partner really well. Hong Lin getting vocal out there.
Yeah. She's brought good energy to help this team come back.
I think especially in the Golden game yesterday, she was playing against Michelle Levinsky.
Pepa's return handcuffing Hong a little bit there, right into the body. Enzo Angles. Any questions?
Not really sure what to make of that point. It was a bit of a scramble. Angles was the first player to really set himself and commit to attacking.
The good shots often come in bunches with Angles. Wow. Those are the breaks that Carolina's gotten throughout most of the season, Matt. That's why they're sitting with over 200 points on the table right now, atop the entire.
I wonder how many of those points have been won by Enzo and Hong. Guess you can't.
I can tell you exactly.
Can't precisely break down the golden game points, but
Right.
Oh, we talked about this before. 70 something with Enzo's singles and then the doubles with the two of them. I think you said 70,
Yeah.
maybe 73 now.
Maybe 75.
Plus their contributions to the golden games, which that would almost.
Let's see.
It would probably add up to like half, honestly.
Enzo's got 37 wins in singles. And as of this moment, he's got 37 points in doubles.
So that's basically a third of the team's points.
This would be a 75th point, and you know, Carolina's won 12 golden games.
So that's 72.
So that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to kind of attribute
3/4 of their points have come from Enzo with singles and doubles and the golden game. I think he's probably the leader in the race for MVP.
You'd have to think so.
Just give him the award now. I mean, it's not a conversation. It's unanimous right now. Now, Alex Yang is going to take a timeout here, with Princeton creeping back within 1.
对啊，没必要想太多。You just wait for one chop, just make focus on table. Yeah. 把它打到他反手就可以了。给他反手还是给他重手？对这边。反手呀，反手没啥旋转。那他有点飘，他没事，他准备好等在那里啊。然后他如果这样发，
How do you feel about the vest over the jacket, man?
We're in Florida, it's not that cold.
没事没事，你搓也没事。
It's amazing.
Come on.
And keep your eyes.
Let's go. Wow.
To remind this girl to start miss sometimes.
Yes. Exactly.
One sideline's very serious, the other's in the middle of a comedy routine. The ever jocular Matthias Habasson.
I think it's the first time I've ever heard jocular used in a sentence.
It's a day you'll never forget.
Pepa gets in close to the table and redirects the ball down the line. Look at the movement. Footwork synergy between these two is really on point.
9-all.
And you could hear Alex Yang saying in the timeout to Enzo, whenever the chop comes over, just take the time to set yourself in position and go for the shot. Just clips the net, doesn't go on. Pepa with a big smile on his face anyway. He almost had it.
I mean, as good as Pepa and Guan played and battled, this doubles team still finds a way. Angles and Lin in their typical victory position. What a team. 7-2 this weekend. Now together they are 36-9 playing doubles in Major League Table Tennis. These are up to the minute.
Carolina Gold Rush. one game away from being the first team to have 100 game wins in singles.
Yeah, just kidding. These are not up to the minute. These are entering the day.
Oh, well, then they've already done it.
Yes, they have.
Raise your hand if you played for Team China.
Florida, Chicago later today. Regardless of how Princeton fares here, there are only 2 more East Division weekends left. So there are 6 team matches left after today in the regular season. The East Division will be in Winter Haven, Florida, early next month, and then in Lawrenceville, New Jersey at Rider University in mid-March. And I'm thinking about it in the context of that Florida-Chicago match. Florida's not going to get eliminated from the race today. But if Chicago doesn't show up and at least put together a good effort, get 9, 10, 11 points, even if they don't win the match, they need to show up. If they get blasted today by the Crocs, who are 0-2 this weekend and hungry
Crocodiles.
It will be a very tall task for Chicago. Not impossible, but certainly they were flying high after their Golden Game win over Carolina. That snapped the Gold Rush's 9-match team winning streak. And if you think about it, Carolina was up 9-6, but that's the most dangerous lead in table tennis. 9-6 heading into the Golden Game. Anyway.
Maybe they should have heard that stat before they went in.
Which of these destinations, just from a city standpoint, are you most excited to experience?
Me personally, I think Rider University in New Jersey. I'll be there for that one. I think Portland's going to be great. I'll be watching on the live stream for that one. It'll be you and Sean on his home ground, but I know the Portland team, and I mean Portland has G-Wei on their team as the lead player. He's their first team pick. He's homegrown.
Do you think, Sean's a hometown guy, they're familiar with him in Portland, but is the paparazzi for Sean O'Neill going to be a little much in Portland, do you think? Is that going to be distracting to our telecast and our work?
No. Maybe they'll be there for you, asking about Fantasy League. Yeah, but I mean, Portland Paddlers, they have G-Wei, they have Christian Liliarus is also Portland, so their coach is a Portland native, and I think they've put a lot of effort into promoting this, and a lot of G-Wei students have been following Major League Table Tennis, and I think they'll be there in person, so I would expect a pretty warm home crowd there in Portland. I think it's going to be pretty good.
I might try to check out a Blazers game while I'm out there, which is right up your alley. I know you never miss a DeAndre Ayton and Malcolm Brogdon Portland Trailblazers game. All right, Kai Jong has the early lead over Nishant Lebaka. 18-year-old free agent signee has showed himself well with shots like that. But Kai Jong, the more experienced of the two, and both these guys play with considerable power. What's the key to imposing your will on the other when both guys want to play with that power?
It's different styles of attacking. I think Jung Kai obviously playing with more topspin, using the smoother inverted rubbers on both sides, has a bit of an advantage in how he plays here. For Nishant to set the ball up, to play those big shots with the short pips is a little more difficult. The ball has to kind of set up a little bit for him. Yeah, so you can see if Kai plays hard and fast into Lebaka's forehand, he can only play reactively. A ball like that, for example, from Kai, if that had got on the table, Nishant probably would have had a home run on it.
Look at you with a baseball reference. Have you ever played baseball?
Not baseball, but I played
wiffle
softball.
ball?
I played softball. Because that's quite big in New Zealand. New Zealand and Japan are pretty good at softball.
What position do you play?
I played it like when I was in primary or elementary school.
Are you shortstop? Were you a better fielder or hitter?
Hitter for sure. Nobody's good at fielding when you're at school. Just like stand up there talking.
I take exception to that. Lebaka's having some moments here. The question is, will he have enough of them?
Definitely got some good weight transfer forward into that ball.
All of a sudden, it's a one-point game.
Revolution could certainly use a helping hand from Lebaka right now. Trailing by 2 points to 7 in the team score.
A 10-8 lead for Kai Jong. Still to come in singles. Pepa back on the table, taking on Carolina's Romain Lorentz. It'll be their first meeting in MLTT. Kai Jong able to finish off Lebaka in game 1. 11-8 is the final in the opening contest. And it's now an 8-2 lead. That guarantees Carolina will have the edge going into the Golden game. And at this point, it would be surprising if they don't get the 5-point lead. And they need 2 more wins in these next 5 games. With Kai Jong looking sharp and Romain Lorentz, very solid contributor this weekend as well.
Yeah, I think Kai definitely has I would say a sizable upper hand in this match. The pressure is definitely on Lebaka to see if he can make a dent. But I think head-to-head, Kai is definitely a more clear favorite. Has the ability to play with a lot of power off both wings. Nishan, when he's setting up for those faster attacks, tends to play a little bit softer and more controlled. Those are all opportunities for Kai. And this is what I was talking about in the doubles when you asked about Angela playing the defense. When you play backspin against a player that has short pips, they can lift the ball well, but they can't really put any spin on it. So the ball's going to sit up a little bit. Kai's just coming in here and playing long and heavy. And then when the ball floats up, big swings from both wings.
Similar to game 1, strong start for Jong here in game 2. Too good. Matt, do you think these 11 a.m. Eastern time starts are too early for our friend Sean O'Neill out on the West Coast? He has been
definitely
unusually quiet in the texting department this morning.
Yeah, he's probably snoring right now. He's definitely snoring with his Fantasy League lineup, I'll tell you that right now.
I think he's ahead of you.
I'm definitely snoring. I'm not gonna lie. When I looked at the result yesterday after the lineup that I had in for the evening match with the Crocs and Carolinas, I thought I'd done pretty well with that. I was a little bit annoyed when I looked at the results.
I mean, the reality is there are a lot of very similar choices made across the board, and to be successful, you have to find some ways to differentiate yourself.
Well, Kai is one of my differentiators. Right now, he's 9-0. Kai taking the big swing. Lebaka's on the board. That'll be a relief for him.
Yeah, but he's kind of shaking his head as if to say, that's what I have to do to win a single point?
Oh, O'Neill's awake. He didn't like that, Evan. Well, Kai's got to hone in and stay focused here. Doesn't want to give up any momentum or... I mean, he's got his foot firmly on the game here in the second. He wants to keep it there going into the third.
It was a nicely timed short ball there from Jong. Talk about his power, but some pretty good precision on that previous ball. Kai's paddle betraying him there. Certainly wasn't his fault. That's more like it. And an 11-4 win to follow up the 11-8 result in game one. Now 9-2 for Carolina. And a big victory is brewing for the Gold Rush.
Yeah, this, I think if you look at the order overall, in terms of style matchups, the Carolinas have done really well. Enzo against Jishan, favorable for the Carolinas. Jeremy Hazen, when we look back at that match, style matchup-wise, perfect for the Carolinas. Now, Jong against Nishant Lebaka, pretty one-sided so far. Again, style matchup-wise, Carolina's looking pretty good. The doubles was kind of a standout surprise. I think the Revolution performed really well compared to what the Carolinas might have expected.
Let me throw this out there. If the CD matchups had swapped, if it was Lebaka versus Hazen and Chen versus Jong, how do you think the match, would that have favored Princeton?
I don't know if it would have favored Princeton, but it would definitely have been significantly better than how it ended up. So I think swapped around would have definitely been better. Because if you put Lebaka against someone like Jeremy, who's going to block a lot more and play soft, he has more chance to attack. Right now, Lebaka's struggling because Kai's really attacking strong against him. That does beg the question of whether that CD order will change in the Golden game.
Yeah.
But at this point, Carolina's...
Look out. That'll leave a mark.
I've experienced it plenty of times before. It's like a paintball.
Have you ever gotten a black eye from a ping pong ball?
No. I have been hit in the eye or close to the eye before. Things happen really quickly when it happens, and you kind of have that moment of, did it hit my eye directly, or did I blink? Yeah, it can happen, especially if your opponent hits the top edge of their racket. The ball kind of pings up higher. Lebaka putting everything on the line out there in the third. I think this has really been a mentality and I don't know if I'd say attitude, but a mentality issue. The approach in the third game, and Jeremy said it pretty well. He kind of celebrated after winning the first two, but had to remind himself to stay focused. And Kai Jong doesn't look as sharp in the third game. He looks more soft and passive than he was in the first two. He's playing, I mean, this doesn't work for him. Playing soft in the start of the point and then trying to hit big shots. This is kind of what we saw from him in stages yesterday as well.
Astute observation. It's spot on. One of the many astute observations you have made this weekend.
This, for me, honestly, if I was Carolina's bench, Carolina's coach, I genuinely wouldn't be happy with this as a third game. I think Kai is in a position where he can win 3-0, and if he did win 3-0, it really puts them in a much more definite position. If he loses this game and it's 9-3 instead of 10-2, there's still potential in the last singles for Revolution to keep moving forward a little bit.
Yep. Pepa Lorentz coming up. Lebaka trying to close out a Game 3 win.
If Lebaka wins this game, which he's pretty well poised to do, and then Pepa comes in and wins 3-0, that could change everything in this match.
Particularly with the context that we discussed earlier, and that teams with a 3-0 lead entering the Golden Game are just 8-7. Kai making a little late push. Lebaka closes it out to salvage a point for his team.
That is a big point for the Princeton Revolution. That
it'll be bigger if Pepa can make it bigger.
I mean, and Pepa's been playing really well this weekend. Lebaka winning that third game could, it's going to make things interesting. We'll see where we end up going into the Golden Game, but I'll be definitely interested to ask Kai about mentalities after the first two games, because I genuinely felt he should have had the upper hand with that one.
Close-up look at the Princeton bench. At some point during this upcoming match, they'll head to the tables and get ready for the Golden Game. But we're going to chat now with Kai Jong. Kai, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as they say. But I imagine you wanted a 3-0 sweep. How do you balance the feeling of satisfaction versus frustration in this moment?
I mean, I think like my strategy worked pretty well throughout the match. But I think just like the mental focusedness, you know, after 2-0, I think like the second game I went a little bit too easy, and then the third game I started to make some like errors, you know, some mistakes, and like a little bit too relaxed. So I need to learn how to, you know, stay focused on the table for my next match, I think.
Yeah, and going into the Golden Game, obviously, when you were attacking against him and he's on the back foot, you win like the majority of points. When you tend to play more passive, then it's a little bit more difficult for you. So going into the Golden Game, if you're gonna match up with him again, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think you can see like the last set, you know, like I look a little bit too much like cross court. You know, he always hit that back. I feel very comfortable with that. So if I got that chance again in the Golden Game, I may try to look a little bit slower, you know, a little bit more to the middle, down the line.
Kai, can you take us inside the Carolina locker room, clubhouse, meeting room? Like, after Friday night's loss, how did the team's mindset shift? Because the team's played really well Saturday and Sunday so far.
Yeah, I think that didn't really affect us like that much because, you know, before that loss, we won, I think, like 9 matches in a row. So it's okay to lose 1 match, you know, and also it's okay, like, for us to, you know, to learn from that, like, you know, why we lost. And, you know, like, and on Saturday, we just try to forget about that and start over again and try to win.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Appreciate the perspective.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you in the Golden. Thank you.
So an opportunity has popped up in the peripherals here of the Princeton Revolution. Nishant Lebaka keeping some hopes alive. Pepa would still need to win at least 2 of these 3 games for the Revolution to have any chance of coming out on top. But I can tell you one thing, Yevgen Pepa has been a man on form this weekend.
What has Pepa done that has exceeded your expectations, and how has he been so effective?
I think in the topspin rallies, he's just been incredibly balanced between playing a bit more aggressively, but being very consistent. If you look at his countering game at the mid-distance and even back from the table, I feel like he's had a very good measure of every single player he's come up against. It didn't matter whether he was in singles or in doubles. You saw him countering well against Emily Tan in the doubles. You saw him countering really well against Enzo just before. You know, these players are throwing powerful shots at Pepa. Tim Wong was the same in the singles yesterday. He's handled things in a pretty smooth manner. Perfect example there. Romain gets it on the forehand, and Pepa just takes everything and sends it back with interest. It's kind of been the story of his weekend.
And Romain has not been poor this weekend by any means. He took 2 out of 3 yesterday against Alex Kazaku. Had a really intense match with Mark Duran. Duran ended up winning 2 out of 3, but it could have gone either way. But Pepa's just in a different zone, at a different level.
He really is, and you know, Laurence has to take some risk to get on the forehand. Typically tries to stay away from his backhand side. But if Pepa's gonna, I guess, like ride over the top of the ball all the time, it's gonna be really hard for Laurence to stay on his forehand. I think Romain has to try and play shorter and tighter to the net. Maybe a few more half long. Get a softer opening from Pepa first, and then try and go for a bigger or better placed counter. Takes the last 2 points.
So from down 6-1, all of a sudden 6-4. Carolina will have at least a 3-point lead going into the Golden game. Lorentz only needs to win one of these 3 games to up that margin to 5, and obviously if Romain is able to take 2 out of 3 or sweep, it would clinch the match victory for Carolina. One thing I haven't had any discussions about with anyone from MLTT, but I did start thinking about personally, is how the feel of the finals is going to be when you're not getting points in the standings, you're just trying to win the match, and how that could change. Because, you know, it's going to come down to the Golden game if you can get 5 points, assuming the format stays the same. as long as you can get 5 points, it's all going to be about the golden game in the playoffs. You're not necessarily concerned about.
No, I think there will be much more emphasis on the individual matches, because if it's all about the win, the team who performs better in the individual matches, I mean, take this for example, Carolina has a chance to shut out the golden game completely. If I was in the playoffs, I would want to make sure that it doesn't come down to the golden game, because we've seen on plenty of occasions anything can happen in a golden game. So when the points don't matter as much, or when the points don't matter and only the result counts, I would want to make sure that my team makes the golden game totally irrelevant to the result.
This is not whose line is it anyway. The points do matter.
Where's my buzzer? I gotta send this guy off the stage.
You are
stage
not allowed.
right ASAP.
You are not allowed to have a buzzer, because if you were allowed to buzz me every time I said something you didn't like, that would be unpleasant listening for the viewers.
I think a buzz button would have come in handy a little bit earlier on.
They heavily edit that show. You know, imagine if the 15, 16 hours of content you and I create every weekend was edited down to our best 26 minutes of material.
No, they're going to have to edit some of it down after this one, that's for sure. Pepa 10-7, game points in his pocket.
Yevgen takes game one, 11-7.
Carrying on his excellent form of the weekend, Yevgen Pepa.
He's now 5-2 in singles games this weekend. And a couple of those losses came, I mean, the only losses came against Benjamin Rossier. One was 11-10, one was 11-9. I mean, he's 3 points away from being perfect in singles this weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
which is really a tribute to Rossier and some of the clutch shots he made in that match.
Yeah, I think if you look at this weekend, I would say apart from Enzo, we've had some, I guess, like different heroes than we might be used to. I think Pepa's stepped up really well. Duran for the Florida Crocs has really brought home some great points for the Crocs team. And we've seen some of the players that usually are leading the teams have struggled a bit more. I think Daniel Gorak has been the player that stood out that maybe hasn't raised the bar as much as the home crowd probably would have liked.
See if Romain Lorentz can gain a little momentum here. Not going to be easy with how locked in Pepa's been. One of the points of the year as Lorentz battles
Pepa, why? All he's saying is, why did I use my backhand to try and attack that high ball? He's going to have to shake that one off.
Seen Lorentz in a scrambling position as often as some other players, but that was well done. Nice catch by a fan off to our left.
Gives you an idea of how close up the spectators are to the action.
Yeah. Different feel here at Broward Table Tennis Club compared to some of the larger venues we've been in. But the atmosphere here has been riveting. It's certainly cozy, but this has been my favorite broadcast position of the season so far, mainly just because of how close we are to the action. You see us in the background. Hi.
Well, you haven't fallen off your chair yet, despite having launched it through the curtain.
Finding some wood to knock on. Yeah, it's a relatively small platform for us, and but it's pretty sturdy.
That's the price you pay for being right up on the table side.
True.
We have the best view here. Laurence is playing superbly in the second game. He's been adding the pressure, locking down the counter game of Pepa. More forehand attack deep into the backhand side.
Oh, Pepa surprised by that return. It didn't look like he expected it to catch the table, but the spin and the angle just left Yevgen flailing.
Pepa finds the backhand of Lorentz.
I don't know if you feel this way, but when a match pops up and you have both players on your fantasy team, I think I have kind of settled upon, I want to see the first 2 games split. I want each of my guys to taste victory so they're feeling good going into the Golden game.
If the order changes, yeah. I mean, if they come up against each other in the Golden game.
That's true too.
The silver lining is that you're guaranteed points at least. You're not at risk of having one player potentially lose 0-3. Pepa's been making an effort to stay closer to the table on the backhand side, but Romain has been driving the ball with a lot of power and depth into that backhand side. It's been a very effective strategy for him, especially from the step around forehand.
Up 2 with 2 serves on his paddle. Key moment here in this middle game for Romain Lorentz. I'll tell you, all weekend long in this 4th singles spot, we have seen some marvelous displays of table tennis.
Pepa really mixed things up, but Romain smart, getting the ball back across to the middle of the table after an intense forehand-to-forehand exchange.
Lorentz has been in this spot against Kazaku and Duran. You know, those were 2 popcorn matches. We also had DeSantalon in the 4th singles spot in the other 2 matches that Princeton was involved in. Something about this spot right before the Golden game, the intensity rising and the competitive fire and the ability of the players at the table. I mean, these are top players in the league. The 4th singles spot includes one of the top 2 players from the team, that A-B combination that the league has instituted.
10-6.
Pepa with the inside-out forehand.
At the start of the season, A-B played in the 1st single spot and the 3rd single spot. That was one of the minor tweaks that the league quietly made to begin and end with the best.
Which I like. I love that. I think this order has been really good. And Laurence loads up the backspin. I think Romain playing back off the table in the second game is something that really played into his favor. Look at that retrieving. You can see the backspin on the ball.
This is week number 8 of
Great slow motion replay from the perfect angle on that one.
Division has 4 other teams, and while the East Division right now is the dominant division, much stronger, much higher.
So it's 10-4. Carolina has earned a 5-point lead going into the Golden game. The only question is, will Princeton have a chance to do to Carolina what the Gold Rush did to them back in October? And to do that, Pepa needs to win this game.
Pepa needs to win this game, and they have to change the order up in the Golden game. If they go into the Golden game with the same order as they've had in the singles, I don't think it's going to work out for them.
So what, if you were the coach of the Revolution, what would be the ideal matchups for you in the Golden game? How would you match up with Carolina?
Oh, here we go. I think...
Obviously, it's not fully in their control, but if it was, what would they do?
If I was the Revolution, I'd probably like to see someone like Alex Chen up against maybe Romain. I'd like to see Pepa, either Pepa or maybe Pepa against Jong, Lebaka against Hazen, and then I would probably leave Jishan against Enzo and really hope that he can step things up.
Would you keep Angela playing against Hong?
That part, maybe I'm not sure about. The tough part about that, maybe I'd almost put Angela against Jeremy, just because he doesn't have as much power, but he has that kind of slow rolling spin. Maybe I put Angela against Jeremy.
You don't want to see Jishan against Hong in Golden game? I mentioned that to Matthias Habasan earlier today, and he said, I might create a divorce if I do that.
That would be pretty dangerous. I think we'll try and stay away from that for the broadcast's sake, which I've already tarnished today. I don't think we want to double down on that.
2, 3.
Right now, though, Romain has taken the early lead here in the third game. Remember, Pepa needs to win a game here for the Revolution to have a chance in the Golden game, but Romain continues to punish the backhand side of Yevgen Pepa. He's getting around quick with the footwork on the step around forehand, getting the forehand deep into the backhand side of Pepa. I mean, this sequence has happened enough times that you feel Pepa's got to be ready for it.
Five, 2 players
Laurence
change
is the player with the lead as they switch sides. 5-2 in the third game. It's now or never for the Princeton Revolution. Yevgen Pepa needs to come back. I'm sure he's under a lot of pressure right now.
We have not seen a team that's been trailing 11-4 come back to win the Golden game and salvage those 6 points. The 2 times that a team lost a Golden game with a 5-point lead, it was 10-5 and it decided the match. Which is to say that maybe we'll see history. Maybe Pepa will complete this comeback. But there's something about the dispiriting way that you're down 11-4. I mean, you've been whooped going into the Golden game. even if it was 0-0, it would be hard to come back and win. You're starting on level ground because you're not feeling in a good mind space. You've just lost the majority of your matches.
Yeah. I mean, I think with them knowing how important the points are with the standings right now might change their mindset a little bit, but tough spot to be in. Pepa is clawing things back here. He's moved back to within 1 point. If he could win the next and tie things up, that would shift some of the balance of pressure back onto Romain.
Frustration in the body language from Pepa. I have not seen too much of that from him this weekend. He's had no reason to expend negative energy.
Pepa puts the ball out long, comes in with the backhand counter. Interesting to see the adaptations he's making, especially on the serve. Coming in with the backhand serve. And this time he's ready. The step around forehands from Romain have come cross court into the backhand on the majority of occasions. Pepa gives himself a little more space. Gets that ball down the line.
Service error from Lorentz at 7-all with an opportunity to clinch victory. I mean, we have seen 5-0 deficits overcome. Doesn't happen often. It's a left.
Oh, this is the part where you take a deep breath. Because neither team has any timeouts left, so no chance to break the rhythm here.
Pepa taking control here in game 3. He was down 5-2. It's a 7-2 run since.
Honestly, I think that when Romain picked up the momentum, Pepa was just playing too close to the table on the backhand. You can see, like, I mean, that's a prime example. Romain plays deep and Pepa's right up on the table. For the last few points we've seen him play, he's kind of moved back to that mid-distance where I think he's played the best across the weekend. Giving himself a little bit more space and time on the backhand side. And it's certainly making a difference.
Couple great gets there from Lorentz, but Pepa hitting one corner and then hitting the other.
More space, more time on the backhand side. Big factors for Pepa. He's come back from being 5-2 down when the players switch sides to now lead 10-8. Keep the hopes of a revolution.
And it would be televised.
And he takes it. Yevgen Pepa wins 2 games out of the 3, bringing the revolution up to the 5-point mark and ensuring they go into the golden game with the possibility to come out with the majority of the points. If they win the golden game, despite starting at a 5-point deficit, they would win this match 11 points to 10. There is a chance.
Where would they be without Yevgen Pepa? 3 of their 5 points, courtesy of Yevgen. 1 in the doubles, 2 in the singles. And that comeback from Nishant Lebaka as well in game 3. You know, Kai Jong had a chance to sweep. That would have secured the match. There's been a number of opportunities for Carolina to put this away, but instead Matthias Habasson will head to the table to create the order with an opportunity.
Yeah, looking back on it, I genuinely think that Jong needed to win that third. We started off Enzo Angles leading the team, kind of setting the stage as he's done so often. Jeremy Hazen followed up with a decisive victory, a great style matchup for the Carolinas, shutting down Alex Chen.
Sorry, Matt. One of the best performances of Hazen's MLTT career.
Definitely agree. I think this doubles was a pretty exciting showdown. Hong and Enzo able to rescue themselves from potentially falling short there. This could be the make or break match. Jong winning the first 2 games but losing the third to the draft player Nishant Lebaka. Pepa keeping the hopes of the Princeton Revolution alive by taking 2 from 3 in the final singles.
Let's find out the order for the Golden with the commish.
At 10-5, you'll be starting with a 5-point advantage. You'll be picking first and serving first, Coach. Who is your first player to play 3 points?
Yevgen Pepa.
Yevgen Pepa is your number 1. Coach? Kai Jong, you're number 1, and you're number 2?
Enzo.
Enzo Angles is your number 2. Jishan Liang is your number 2. Your 3. Coach, need a pick. Alex, Angela, or Nishant?
Alex.
Alex Chen is your 3. Your 3?
Jeremy.
Jeremy Hazen is your 3. Your 4.
Mine?
Your 4. Romain, Lorentz, or Hong Lin?
Hong Lin.
Hong Lin is your 4, making Romain your 5. Who is your 4, Coach? Facing off against Hong Lin, it could be Nishant Lebaka or Angela Guan.
Angela.
Angela Guan is your 4, making Nishant your 5. Good luck, coaches.
What do you think, Matt?
I think Harbison was definitely sweating a bit there. He took longer to make his selections. They're in a tough position. I think the start was probably a good start. Pepa against Kai Jong, I think, is better for the Revolution. Leaving Jishan against Enzo, definitely agree with that. Putting Alex in the 3rd position, it was tough because they had to make their pick first, and that allowed Carolina to match up Jeremy. The last 2, I almost feel like I would have put Nishant Lebaka up against Hong Lin, just hoping that he can play that kind of long push game and get a softer opening from Hong.
Then you would have had Guan against Lorentz.
Definitely not easy to make those order decisions, and especially when you're having to make the first move.
Kai Jong takes 3 straight from Yevgen Pepa. How about that?
Jong knew that he had to come into the Golden game being positive, going for his shots.
Enzo versus Jishan. Liang takes the opening point of this 4-point sequence, gets the Revolution on the board here in the Golden game.
An uncharacteristic miss from Jishan Liang. Ball was ripe for the picking for a player with such a big forehand. Good recovery from Jishan.
Yep.
I think Jishan's strategy in the singles that helped him win the one game was to be more aggressive on the serve return, use the backhand flick. He's probably going to need to do that more in the golden game. Alex Chen will have a chance at redemption.
Young managed to take 3 out of 4 from Enzo. Alex Chen brings Princeton back within 5. They're back to where they started with this golden game after falling behind 8-0.
Revolution making some ground here. There's that little bit of extra kick that Hazen talked about, the top spin kick serves. You heard Coach Yang telling him to add more kick during the timeout in their singles match. And turns things around off the back of 2 serves.
Hazen fired up. Gold Rush bench.
He's going to run straight onto the cruise ship. Jong and Angela.
Wonder if he's already called for the Uber. Maybe after his next 4-point sequence.
And
missed.
Guan forces an error from Hong Lin. Princeton have managed to close the gap that opened up in the beginning. They're going to need to do a lot more work. Angela goes for the attack. Good positive decision from her.
Yeah,
Hong looks pretty stable.
Thumbs up from Yevgen Prishepa from the sideline, as if to say, you missed it, but that was the right choice.
Yeah.
Tricky serve from Hong Lin down the line.
I think the teams that have had better success against Carolina are the ones that have changed up the golden game order against Hong. I really think Hong is an anchor in the Carolina lineup.
Takes 3 out of 4 again. And here's Romain, Lorentz, and Nishant Lebaka. And Princeton needs to start making up ground. They're running out of time. And it does not look like it's going to happen. Prishepa will come back to the table against Kai Jong next. Kai won 3 straight against Yevgen.
Oh,
Romain Lorentz with some great stuff.
Just whipped that counter and down the line. Nice little curve on that ball as it came back in.
Timeout, Matthias Habasson and Princeton. Can't take the timeout with you to Winter Haven, so might as well use it now.
Shepard just played singles against Romain, so he's leading up the
But if he play the
feedback here as well.
If he play a little softer or shorter, you just change. You just change side. Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter. No, you have nothing to lose. Just go.
There's nothing to lose.
He's
just
right.
Get out there. Gold Rush now 10 points in the lead here in the golden game. They've doubled their start.
Well, it was 5-0 before we even started. And when Yevgen Prishepa was not able to get any of his first 3 points in the leadoff position, that did not suggest good things were ahead for Princeton. Romain 1 point away from a golden sweep. Lebaka able to salvage 1 of the 4, but after Hong Lin takes 3 of the 4, Laurence follows up in kind. And if Kai Jong can keep it rolling and win 4 more consecutive points against Prishepa, that would finish this thing off.
Takes the second pretty early. Prishepa, again, strong in the countering game this weekend. Remember, Pepa had a 4-point streak in the Golden game that turned things around. You almost wonder what would happen if he got 4 in a row here.
Would put a lot of pressure on Jishan to keep it going against Enzo. Oh, Jong renders that conversation moot.
And he runs up an 18-9 scoreboard.
Heavy backspin serve. Jong earns the split. Princeton still trail by 10 points. And Enzo, when you're in this situation needing to close out, certainly the man you want out on the court to get the job done.
Jishan did take 3 out of 4 from Enzo earlier in this game. He needs to do that now to keep his team alive. There's one.
Here comes the reverse pendulum serve.
Enzo ready for it this time.
20-10.
Golden game points.
Match point Carolina. And it's over.
21-10.
The number 1 player on the league closes out another successful weekend for the number 1 team in MLTT. Enzo Angles and the Carolina Gold Rush win this match 16-5.
This is definitely going to be a result that shakes up the standings. Of course, Carolina continue their advance to split away from the rest of the players and teams in the East Division. But the implications for the teams fighting for the 2nd position in the East Division standings, pretty significant after this result.
So the Carolina Gold Rush have now won 11 of their last 12 team matches. Alex Yang, your team slipped up in the Golden game on Friday. I'd say it responded pretty well. What are you most pleased about with your team's weekend overall?
For Friday Golden game, I did a mistake because I should put Hong Ling the first. But you know, also I think we will win easy. So today and yesterday I thinking more. So I put Kai for first round. I thinking if Kai can took 2 points, then every match we can get advantage later.
There are a lot of different style matchups in the match, in particular in the singles matches. You had 2 left-handers playing. You had Jeremy against Alex Chen, Kai against Lebaka. How did you feel overall? You must have felt pretty confident when you looked, understanding all these style matchups, that your team would be able to perform well today?
Yes, because I also asked all the players about the confidence, which player they want to play. Now, that's very important. And also to see the previous match or the styles, then I put the lineup.
I know you said that Enzo Angles was an obvious number 1 pick for you once you won the draft lottery. But has he exceeded your expectations with his effectiveness in singles, doubles, and the Golden game?
Yes, of course. Yeah, he's a very stable player, a very professional. And we can say he's a team leader. So when he play good, everybody, you know, very confident to have him.
The other player that really stood out today was Jeremy Hazen, as he swept Alex Chen in 3 competitive games. What stood out to you about him?
Before this tournament, he went to Atlanta for 4 days. So we had some training, and also preparation is good.
Alex, congratulations on the weekend. Thank you for your time, and safe travels home. We'll see you next month in Winter Haven.
Okay, thank you very much.
He's even keel. He doesn't get too high or too low, but he hasn't had reasons to get too low, that's for sure. I mean, this Carolina team has been a juggernaut all throughout the season. We'll look at the updated standings in a moment, but first let's chat with Romain Lorentz. Romain, It was a really entertaining battle you had with Yevgen in that fourth singles spot. I imagine you felt you had some unfinished business in the Golden Game, but you and your team get the job done again. What are you most proud about from your performance and your team's effort overall?
Yeah, of course, it's one more time one very good weekend for us. We are leading the league. I think we have probably good chance to be at the playoff. Probably first place would be even better. So we have to continue. It's always good for the team to win, and we will probably arrive with big confidence for the playoff.
And you've had some really, really great matches with the top players in the league. Your game is very forehand dominant. It requires a lot of movement. You have to make sure that you're hitting the ball a lot of the time very deep on the table. What kind of stuff are you working on in your game overall in terms of developing it to try and make, the backhand more effective, or your ability to kind of control the table once you get on your forehand?
Yeah, first, I agree with you. My forehand is my best shot, of course. And yeah, I'm trying to. Against Yevgen was not easy because he's very solid with backhand. So if I'm playing too much with my forehand, it's not that good because he can go deep to my backhand and deep to my forehand, which is very difficult for me. So I had to use a little bit my backhand and be very focused about service and receive and first ball. This is the key. Of course, this is the key of table tennis, but most of the time for my game, it's really important. If I can start very well with my service and my first ball, then I have good chance to win the points. If my opponent can control me on the first two balls, it's getting more complicated for me. So that's the key of my game.
Appreciate the perspective, Romain. I think it's safe for you to book a flight to the finals. I think you guys are going to make the playoffs. It's not official yet, and maybe you're superstitious, but I think it's safe to get that early value in there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good news. Thank you. I will book it now.
Congratulations, Romain. Have a safe travels home, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, see you next month. Thank you.
Romain Lorentz of the Carolina Gold Rush as they just strengthen their grip atop this division. Princeton, after a great couple of days on Friday and Saturday, a disappointing Sunday, they'll almost certainly head back home in third place. The question is what the gap will be between Florida and Princeton. We're going to see the Crocs and the Wind coming up here, and it's really a huge match for both Florida and Chicago. We'll talk more about that coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Princeton can't be too unhappy with how things have gone. I mean, they are missing two of their team's top players. I think taking 2 wins against the Crocs and the Wind, they've fought to a position where they have more than 100 singles games won in their favor. Yeah, maybe not the showing that they wanted to bring to the table against Carolina Gold Rush, but a pretty spirited effort across this weekend from them, I think.
No question about it. Undermanned but undeterred, Princeton battled tough, but Carolina remains the kings of the East. We still got more to come. 2 p.m. Eastern, about 35 minutes from now, Florida and Chicago to wrap up our Broward County weekend. For Matt Hetherington and Evan Lepler, our entire crew says so long for now. Carolina wins again.